Recently, YouTube changed its terms of service, and under this new terms of service agreement, the language is so ambiguous that no one really understands what they mean by offensive content or degrading content or anything overall. These terms of service are literally like a foreign language to any average layman. So when we look at this terms of service, it's just a jumbled mess. And then under these new terms of service, anything could pretty much be considered offensive to someone. And when with that type of content standard, it's going to be next to impossible for any type of content provider to understand what type of content they can place on this social media platform. When I look at the new YouTube terms of service, it looks like either two things are going to come out of it. One is guaranteed a class action lawsuit from content providers, and two, pretty much a decline in YouTube's subscribers and YouTube's viewers. Because when you start trying to tell content providers what type of content they're going to produce, you're going to have content providers pretty much leaving for competitors like Vimeo and Dailymotion. Because the big problem with YouTube over the last couple of years is that they've been trying to dictate to content providers what type of content they should produce, and the standards have been so ambiguous and so inconsistent that pretty much some content gets taken down, like intelligent black men's content, while other content that would be considered offensive, like videos of cross burnings by the Ku Klux Klan and rants by white supremacists, winds up staying up on YouTube. And these inconsistent standards pretty much are leading towards a road towards a class action lawsuit where people pretty much start complaining about having their First Amendment rights violated, because the original mission of YouTube was supposed to be broadcast yourself. And that meant that people could broadcast content that reflected their lives, reflected their views, reflected their opinions. Unfortunately, over the last couple of years, a brigade of butthurt people have gone about their way trying to censor the content on YouTube through campaigns like they did back in the early 2010s, such as false flagging, or these days, trolling and spamming people who produce content that they find so-called offensive. And the reason why this content is offensive to them is not because the content is obscene by a community standard. It is offensive to them because it is presenting opinions they do not like, ideas they do not like, and viewpoints that they do not like. What many of the people who come onto YouTube will do is they'll deliberately go to a website or a channel with content they do not like, troll the content user, and try to make them leave the channel. And a lot of people don't understand that this is the type of harassment many YouTubers like myself and others that I have watched videos from go through every day. We have to deal with people coming into our comment threads, dropping spam comments, dropping ad hominem attacks, dropping shaming tactics, all to try to censor us and try to discourage us from producing content. All because the content we produce is a viewpoint they do not want to hear, ideas that they do not like, and opinions they do not like. Many of these people can operate a smartphone or a computer, but they do not understand that there is a red X on the right-hand side of their Windows PC and on the left-hand side of their Macintosh, and they can just click out of that content if they do not like it. Unfortunately, they go out and complain to YouTube saying that this content offends them, not understanding this person is just expressing their constitutional right to freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and freedom of expression, just like any other person would on YouTube. And if YouTube continues to cater to these type of people, what's going to happen to this great social media platform is that it's going to collapse, just like Myspace did 5 or 6 years ago. Now, a lot of people don't remember Myspace, but I remember when Myspace was a thriving website. And a lot of people like myself, artists, writers, creative people, were creating great content on Myspace and attracting followings of people. Unfortunately, the people at Myspace decided to do two things. One, they decided to update their platform without telling anyone about it with this Myspace 2.0, which made the site impossible to use. And two, they started catering to trolls, attention whores, and people like feminists and social justice warriors who felt that they were offended by certain content and made efforts to try to have people's pages taken down because they felt offended. and they wanted the site to fit their standard. And because they wanted the site to fit their standard, a lot of content providers like myself wound up leaving MySpace because there was no way for us to express ourselves constructively. So we went over to places like Facebook and and YouTube and other places to produce our content because we wanted to create content in a place where we felt safe to produce our content and express ourselves freely. And what happened after MySpace catered to these people was that MySpace completely collapsed as a social media platform. Yes, the trolls, the attention whores, the feminists, the social justice warriors, and many of the other members of the Butthurt Brigade got their way with MySpace, but in the aftermath, the site pretty much had no content. And why did it have any content? Because they drove away the writers, the artists, the creative people, the videographers, the filmmakers. They drove all those people away, and all the reasons that people had to come to the site pretty much dried up because those content providers were providing the content that people wanted to go see. Because when I go to YouTube, I come here to learn. I come here to think. I come here for content I cannot get on broadcast television. I go here for content that I cannot get on other parts of social media. And I come here to learn because I understand that I'm going to get different viewpoints and different ideas. I mean, even in many sites, I may not agree with some of these people, but I will listen to them because I understand that they are presenting something from a different viewpoint and I may learn from it. Now, I have learned quite a bit from quite a few YouTubers like your David Carroll or even other YouTubers like many of the MGTOW channels like Sandman and Turd Flinging Monkey and others. And I've also learned as a Christian from atheist websites that have been up here like Dark Matter 2525. Many of these channels, many people would find offensive, but I find them quite stimulating because they present those different perspectives that make me take a look at the world outside of the mainstream ideas and the standard viewpoints many people have. That's why I like those channels, because they provide thought-provoking content. And that's what YouTube was providing right now. But unfortunately, many people can't stand watching those types of channels. What they want to do is turn YouTube into a platform, again, like what MySpace became right after all the artists and writers left. It became a platform filled with garbage content such as cat videos, dog videos, and this type of stuff. Yeah, it's the same stuff over and over again. And this is the type of thing that drives viewers away, because this content that people say that they find they're comfortable with is pretty much monotonous. It's boring. It's the same thing over and over again. And then on the other side of it is many of these people who are complaining, like your feminists, your social justice warriors, and many of these other people in the Butthurt Brigade. These are the same people who sit there and complain, but then these are the same people who will walk away from this same platform because those people who they say they were offended about are no longer there, and they're saying, oh, I don't want to see this website. So catering to these groups pretty much is going to destroy the YouTube platform. And really, the owner, Google, really needs to take a long, hard look at their approaches, because they're getting ready to destroy a very good platform the same way MySpace was destroyed in about 2010 or 2011. Because after MySpace went and followed those approaches, MySpace was never the same. Right now, MySpace is barely a pale shadow of its former self. And what the big problem with social media is, I'm seeing, is that a lot of people just don't know how to be social. They do not know how to agree to disagree. They do not understand that in a country where you have freedom of the press, freedom of expression, and freedom of speech, you are going to hear things that you don't like. You are going to see things that you don't like. And if you are offended by them, you have a choice in the matter. And that is not going over and flagging a video or having a channel taken down. Your choice is this. Again, that red X at the top of the screen of your Windows PC or the right-hand side of your Mac at the top of the screen. That is your option if you don't like the content. Unfortunately, what I see with a lot of people who do not like certain viewpoints, what they do, which is insane, is they continue watching the content so that they can complain about it. That's what's crazy about it. And many at the Google offices don't understand human behavior. They don't understand. These people are going to sit here and they'll complain because they're looking for something to complain. Because their lives are that miserable that they're going to sit up in front of a computer all day looking for a complete stranger to create content they do not like and then continue to watch it. And then when they destroy the person's channel, then go look for somebody else's content that they don't like. This is the insane behavior that some of these people have. This is based on a mental illness that they have, that many of these trolls have, and many of these attention whores have. And many of them, again, they're only mad because some of them cannot produce content. Some of them don't have the courage to produce content. Some of them don't have the backbone and the character to produce content. And some of them have no talent. And this is why they can't produce content. And those few that do are upset because they produce content and because they have no personality, no charisma, no talent, no natural energy to draw in people. What happens is they don't get many views, so they get mad at somebody else. And some people get mad because the viewpoints that they see are not viewpoints that they're used to. So they continue to get upset, and then instead of creating their own content, they go to this person's channel, continuing to watch it and complain about it and say that they're offended and this is upsetting them. And what's really upsetting to them is that they just aren't happy with themselves and they want to go out and make other people miserable because they're miserable. Now, I've been on this World Wide Web for over 16 years, and I've seen these type of people pretty much bring their negative energy into people's different spaces. They bring it there looking for trouble. They're looking for drama. These are the people who will go to a Christian website and then try to get the atheist, as an atheist, trying to get the Christian to agree with them. These are the people who go to a goth website telling people that they're devil worshippers. These are the type of people who go to a men's issues website trying to promote and push feminist views. These are the people who go to a comic book website and go around looking to start arguments with people, telling them things like they are stupid for liking certain characters. These are the type of people who, in many other message boards and forums that I've been to over the years, what they do is they kick these people off the boards. Unfortunately, what YouTube looks like it's going to do is try to cater to these people, thinking that they're going to, try to censor the content producers by making things like saying that, oh, this channel, this video is not advertiser friendly, not understanding that without content you can't run a website. Without content, people have no reason to come here, and without content, your site pretty much is going to collapse because these are the type of people, they don't really want to see content. All they want is attention and drama for themselves because, again, they are jealous of content providers and they are insecure about seeing different viewpoints. And what happens is, in many cases, they can't produce content themselves, so they want to try to make other people miserable because they are offended because of their lack of talent, lack of confidence, lack of creativity, lack of imagination. And they want to take a social media platform and they say that they're going to try to change it to make it so it won't offend anyone. But in the end of the day, all you're going to do is make a website that's going to be filled with junk content that no one is going to watch, just like Myspace did when I used to go to pages after everybody left, when all the writers who used to write sample chapters and put up things on their blogs, some of the models and artists who used to put up their great pictures of themselves that were artistically done, and many of the videographers and stuff who used to put their videos and things up. After all those people left, only thing that was left up there were cat videos, pictures of kids, pictures of these women in lingerie that were a dime a dozen and poorly done. And after a while, people just said, look, I just don't want to come here because a lot of times the content is junk. And two, a lot of times the content is not updated on the regular because many of these people, like your other members of the Butthurt Brigade, such as your feminists, your social justice warriors, and many of these other people like these trolls, they don't produce content on the regular. They don't care about content. All they want to do is take control of the platform, and then when they take control of the platform, they produce absolutely nothing of value. And then what happens is the platform pretty much collapses into the ground because YouTube's executives decided they were going to cater to these people because they're offended, and then what they do is produce content that offends the shareholders and the people who invested in Google, who see their profit margins decline because no one's producing great content. And then the advertisers get offended because they see content that's not going to sell, that's not going to get them ads revenue, and they're spending money on a website that pretty much is not going to meet their needs because they decided to meet the needs of a group of people who just are dysfunctional and don't want any type of content that on a social media platform that offends them. But what it's going to do again is offend the business people who take a look at this YouTube platform and say, look, we have no content, so we can't have a website. And that's what Google's executives really need to take a long, hard look at, because going after the content providers and trying to make them conform is only going to lead to them leaving for competitors and then ultimately sinking what was one of the greatest social media platforms out there. And I'd hate to see YouTube go the way of Myspace. Unfortunately, I'm looking at the direction that it's going in, and they're headed right down that collision course, and they don't see the iceberg coming right ahead to sink their platform. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.